Alright, this is lab 3.3, the biodiversity question. Which of the habitats has the greatest biodiversity, and does this support your hypothesis? The habitat with the greatest diversity was the grassland. It had a biodiversity of 0.88092, and since that's the closest to 1, then it's saying it's more diverse. It doesn't support my hypothesis because I was expecting the rainforest to be more diverse, as it's stated in the book, and the rainforest is most diverse because it's closest to the equator where there's warmer weather. So that was what I was going for. Is an agricultural field truly a monoculture? No, because there's always going to be one or more organisms, at least more than one. That's not a lot, but it's still more diverse and pretty powerless. What are some major causes for the loss and increase of biodiversity in a habitat? One of the losses would be natural disasters. There are things such as hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, and that can ruin the vegetation. And there's also humans. Humans come into the land and urbanize everything, which takes away the diversity in the habitat because everything is going away. Two of the increases would be the reintroduction of species, just like in our last lab 3.2 that we did. We looked at how there's the reintroduction of wolves, like in Yellowstone, and thinking about it in Colorado. There's not a greater diversity throughout the park. And then there's always the reintroduction of a new organism, which would obviously change and increase diversity in a habitat. 4, if you cut down the variety in a piece of forest you owned and replanted with one type of tree, what will happen to much of the wildlife that was adapted to the forest? I think that most of the species would die off. Some would be able to survive, but not all of the species can adapt like the others. I think some plants would struggle as well because they're used to growing with certain plants, and that change in the environment, I think, would definitely have an effect on the way they grow and prosper. Do you think that the fate you described before will be the fate of the wildlife and the habitat? No, because this is when natural selection comes into place. Some would be able to adapt, but not all. They'd have to overcome the change and adapt to the environment that is now being set before them. It's the strong ones that can adjust and that will stay, but I don't think that will be a majority. I think that a lot of them will still be able to survive, just a few won't. There are the questions for lab 3.3.